Welcome back to the Two Blues podcast and to another live episode. Back with my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks, and we're here today to recap the USA Tour 2024. We still got one preseason game left against Inter Milan this Sunday, but it is back on home soil, back on home turf at Stamford Bridge. We have played 5 games in the USA. We have won 1. It's been interesting. There's been a lot to take, a lot to learn. Obviously, still a lot of time to go, but with a week and a half now to go until the Premier League starts. Charms, how are we feeling? How have you? I don't know how much you got to watch at the Real Madrid game last night, but how are you feeling about this Chelsea side going into the last preseason game of 2024?
Yeah, well, I was enjoying your late night stream. Listen, anybody in the chat, make sure that if we are playing, tap in on Two Blues, get a bit of Dan Bangers from FIFA, watching the second half and kind of venting his frustration at this Chelsea side, because I think that's all there is to do at this point. Like you look at last season, for example, we had a pretty good preseason. We were going into it, and I was probably a bit overconfident, but I was really enjoying the sort of football that was being played. This season in preseason, I can't say the same thing. I just think we just look lax. We look foldable. We just look super mid-table, and it just isn't the Chelsea I know and love. I think having 45 players on the books doesn't help, and not really knowing what that squad's looking like. Like players like Mark Guehi, however you pronounce the geezer's name up top, like he's all right.
Mark Guehi, the boy, man. Mark Guehi, the boy. The fans love him.
I love him. I think he's pretty solid. I think out of everyone that we've got in so far, he's the only one that actually sparks my interest as something as I see in as a player that fits in the 11. But I don't really understand what's going on. I don't understand who we want to look at in our starting 11. Are we going to play?
Who's been your standout players of preseason?
Well, that Mark Guehi, I didn't really know him before this whole palaver, and I think that he's impressed me to some degree. Exciting to see, obviously coming off the back of the Euros. It's really exciting to see the potential from Cole Palmer. Obviously, he looks absolutely world-class at the minute. We haven't seen much of him, let him rest, but fair enough to him. Obviously, Jackson's been injured. It's been someone I've been wanting to see how they would kick on in pre-season. But when it comes to players that have impressed me, I mean, not Badiashile by any stretch of the imagination. Colwill hasn't really done anything for me, so yeah, man. I mean,
happened? That's my short for tonight. I already recorded. It's bad to be edited and chopped out after this, but yeah, I don't know what has happened to Benoit Badiashile, and I like him. I want him to succeed. I hate having to do these kind of shorts, but brother, forget about being able, being one of our starting centre backs long term, so that he didn't look like he was able to play Sunday league level last night.
I agree. Yeah, and it makes it look bad. And Jorgensen, who's playing his first game for Chelsea, and he ends up putting.
What did you think of Jorgensen?
It's just another one, isn't it? It's just another keeper who's just he ain't perfect, and the back line just makes him look a lot worse than he is. I imagine. It's hard to say much about a keeper after one game in a pre-season against Real Madrid. It's hard to kind of draw ideas, but it just seems like another one.
I thought eye test. I mean, I thought he did all right. And I think I saw someone rated him, like an app, SofaScore or whatever it was, rated him 5.8. And I thought that was diabolical. I thought he looked very safe with the ball at his feet. Didn't have much to do in terms of shot stopping, but the defence was at fault for the goals. Yeah. I thought Jorgensen, for me, passed the eye test, clears Sanchez, and yeah, he's our number one.
Yeah, but does he clear Petrovic? Because I feel like Petrovic has passed the eye test so many times, more times, and I think that if I was to pick between the two, I'd be picking Petrovic right now. Obviously, as I said, one game in a pre-season game against Real Madrid, it's a little bit difficult to kind of make a decision based off of that. You know what I mean? But I just felt like it just seems like another young goalkeeper who's very green, gonna need this experience. Like, obviously, against a big team like Real Madrid, did well to not be deer in the headlights, let 3 or 4 past him. And obviously there are saves there, but there wasn't really much to do last night, And I think it's pulling on strings. It's kind of hard to make an analysis about our keeper situation right now, but I think we have to make a decision. The league's less than 2 weeks away. You know, we've got three goalkeepers who all have a good say in being the player that starts out. And I don't know about you, but for me, I like my keeper to start at least 30 games out of 38 in the Premier League. And I don't know which one of those three you'd make that decision. Probably would be Petrovic, right? But then you got, 45 to 50 million just across two goalkeepers who we don't need right now, who we just got one of them in, and one of them we just got in last year, and he's been replaced by someone else we got in last year. It's just calamitous. It's such a headache situation. I genuinely don't know. If someone was to ask me who is your goalkeeper right now, I don't know. I mean, I guess it would be Sanchez, right? But he's kind of just been ousted by Petrovic. But it looks like you're.
Well, I'm with you in terms that the situation itself is messy. It's far from ideal, and obviously the fact that we've got three keepers that we're juggling for a first team position, and none of them have been able to hold down a starting position for a long time. And well, obviously you've got to give Jorgensen credit; he hasn't had that opportunity yet. But I feel like out of the three, Petrovic has been dropped out. I mean, he's the only one that hasn't got a minute in pre-season. I know he had an injury. I thought he was going to join up with the team later on, but no sign of him potentially being cast out. There's he may well, if there's not a club that comes in for him in the next 23 days, 24 days, however long it is, he may well be frozen out and have to just be, as in Malang Sarr, playing with the under 21s, the development squad, because we'll have Robert Sanchez on the bench. We'll have Bettinelli as another, as the third choice, as the backup as well. So I don't, considering he hasn't got a minute yet, I don't see Petrovic being anywhere near this team. And Jorgensen getting 90 minutes, I think, was good for him. As you said, I want my keeper to play minimum 30 games. Ideally, I want my keeper to play 38 out of 38. I want the keeper to be kind of a fixture. It should realistically be a position you don't have to worry about. When you look back at the era of Petr Cech, we never had to have a conversation. We never had to worry about it. For me, goalkeeper is one of those positions where you should just find a world-class player and lock it down. You shouldn't be worrying about potential, building up a player and getting him to where he needs to be, because young players make mistakes, and goalkeepers, when they make mistakes, it ends in a goal. It results in a goal. And regardless of how good you are as a young goalkeeper, if you make too many mistakes, you will be dropped. You will lose your position. And with Chelsea at the moment, with Robert Sanchez, Petrovic, Kepa, you've got keepers there that are looking to snap this up. You've got keepers that are there looking to jump straight back into that position and take your position. So it's not, he can't be, none of these Chelsea players, none of these Chelsea goalkeepers can feel comfortable, no matter who starts in that game against Man City. But I feel like whatever the regime is, whatever the hierarchy is, it needs to be set from early doors. It needs to be, you are the league goalkeeper. You are designated number one, regardless of what happens. You are number two for cup competitions when we need a backup, etc., etc. And you are number three. You are sold. There are 4 or 5 goalkeepers on the books at the moment. Obviously,
there's 8 goalkeepers on the books.
Well, yeah, but I mean, looking at the players that will be included in the first team that we need to ship out, Kepa, Bettinelli, Jorgensen, Sanchez, and Petrovic. You can only fit 2 of those in a matchday squad. And if I'm seeing 3 goalkeepers in a matchday squad again, like we did at multiple points throughout last season when we had no outfield players left, I'm going to be fuming, because we've got so much depth. We've got at least 2-3 players in every single position now. So we shouldn't be struggling for depth. We shouldn't be. It's just it's frustrating, because it's such a double-edged sword. Yeah. We're stacking, and then we've just creating this problem where we're just blocking these players' pathways, and players like Fofana, who's going to leave the club without even getting a sniff. This goalkeeper. So I'm with you very much in terms of this goalkeeper situation being extremely frustrating. It's far from ideal.
And that's another thing as well. You just said it yourself. Like, it's not just the goalkeeper. It's David Datro Fofana already on his way out when we haven't seen him in any stretch. And to be honest, the glimpses we have seen looked all right. There was a point last season when we were thinking, look, can we give him a try over Jackson? Because although Jackson does get in behind and he makes the runs, they got to be onside and he's got to finish them. And both of those things he struggles with. So let's give Fofana a try out in cup games and let's see how that works. What did he play? 1-2 games under us? Like, it's insane the way that these players are coming in and going out. I mean, like, if a player like Mykhailo Mudryk was to get put on the bet or was to get put on the sales list and then go, it'd be like, fair enough. It's an experiment that's been gone and it just simply didn't work. We recouped some of our losses for a younger player who we can still essentially convince someone is still in their prime. We can't do that with a lot of these other players, and it's almost position for position everywhere that you look. There's going to be someone who I don't know why they're a part of the fold right now. And obviously we've had these problems for years, and this isn't the first time that this has happened. But to this degree, in every position, centre backs, right backs, left backs, strikers, wingers. I struggle to understand. I mean, listen, I feel like Noni Madueke is making his case slowly, week by week. In the back end of last season, we were looking at him like, okay, maybe Noni is going to play a bit more than we thought. And, in the preseason, he's been one of the only players I thought has actually been exciting, particularly as an attacking threat. And, take his header really well yesterday, far side, over the keeper. Look solid. Winning aerial duels is something that, I think we needed to focus on. So, having a player like that, you don't necessarily think is like a strong header threat, scoring a goal of that. I think it's a good look, but it's really clutching at straws. There's really not much to be excited for. And if we were to do a Premier League prediction video, this would far and away be the lowest that I've put us. Last year I said, I'm pretty confident we'd get Europe, and we did. You know what I mean? I think that we ended up doing pretty good, all things considered. I don't see the same thing this year. I don't understand how we.
You think we're good? You see, I mean, early predictions, obviously, still a lot to happen, but you think at this point we're finishing lower than we did last season?
I think we do, brother. I think this is going to be a step backwards, another step backwards. I hope I'm wrong. I just need myself to be proven wrong, because realistically, I've gone off of the last two that we've done. I've been in and around one or two positions, and it always goes off of preseason. You look at what we have to accomplish, with the players that we have in the club and the system that's been in place. And I don't know the system that's in place. I don't understand what we're trying to do. I don't understand why we're signing players. Like, who's the geezer we signed this morning for 38 million? He scored 9 goals last year in Atletico Madrid. What are we doing? Signing another striker, unproven striker for 35 million, who's green, scored 9 goals last year. Why? What to fill in the hole that Jackson's left after being injured? We need a player to underperform up top. I don't get it.
Yeah. That one's Omora Dion is crazy to me, but we'll get into that in a little bit, because I do want to break down. Obviously, so much has happened since we last did a transfer rep together. Obviously, Conor Gallagher officially, leaving and all that nonsense. I haven't even checked Fabrizio or any of the outlets today, so I might even be behind. I might need to have a cursory sweep while you talk on the next point. But yeah, you touched on someone there that's been bright at the back end of last season. And my two players, and Gabriel. I don't think he answered me. You were on last night's stream, bro. You not that it matters, but how do you pronounce your name, bro? Gabriel or Gabriel? It's a sticky one still. But Lavia and Madueke, the two players for me that preseason have pulled out. I think Lavia has impressed me, and this is a statement because I know and believe how good Lavia can be. I see the potential. I have always said, back in the days when it was, potentially Lavia or Caicedo, I was saying Lavia, better value for money, better longevity, technically more of a proven asset than Caicedo was at that point when I was, having this conversation a year and a half ago, whenever it was. But he has grown, 18 minutes in the Premier League for Chelsea last season, barely touched us. He's come back into this squad, and it looks like he's grown as a player without that experience. It looks like he's moving. He's mature on the ball. His decision making, his passing is succinct. It's accurate. He moves the ball cleanly, and he's always looking. He's so progressive as well. I think and I said it in a short the other day. I think he offers more attacking than Caicedo and more defensive than Enzo. It is a tough situation now with those three in the midfield, because honestly, I mean, Caicedo came on. I know he's obviously late to the squad, whatever. Enzo looked far closer to match fitness to full speed than Caicedo. Caicedo was doing a lot of lunging into tackles, and I quite like that Lavia Enzo. I think Lavia, Enzo operates best with a player that gives him a little bit more protection in behind him. It is ideally in a double pivot, double six, whatever you want to call it. But Enzo has the tendency to go forward and dictate the play. Obviously, help us in transition, move the ball out wide, get those attacking moves going. whereas Lavia has the ability, and sorry, Caicedo normally has the ability to sit behind, doesn't really have the set. While we have seen some of those breaking the line passes, he doesn't really have that eye for that knack for a threading the needle that Enzo Fernandez does. But Lavia this preseason, and for a player that's come back from such a big injury, I mean, the only thing that I can say is we've got to manage his minutes and not rush him back because of this injury. But at this point, I'm struggling to see how Enzo Maresca sits Romeo Lavia down and says, "I'm sorry, mate, you're not in this starting 11."
Well, listen, as you said it, like, it's out of the very, very few things you can take positives. I mentioned the other Madueke, Lavia, fair play. He's looked solid, man. And it's just, I struggle with the Lavia thing because I was, once we had Caicedo, I didn't know why we got Lavia, you know what I mean? And I always figured that this would be a problem, kind of deciding what we were going to do with so many, quality sixes, because you can't play three. You can just about get away with playing two. And Enzo any higher up, I think, probably the only solution. But I think it's kind of wasted because we got Nkunku in the 10, and we're not playing. We're not going to be playing any more than that when it comes to central midfielders, other than 2 6s and a 10. Because those wide players, it's too set in stone. We're not going to be playing without a striker because we're not stupid. Like, it's just a rock in a hard place, and I really don't understand if everyone's fully fit what we're going to be doing with Lavia, because you have to, even though you may have said longevity and value for money and whatnot, if you had to pick both of them right now, like, it's got to be Caicedo, you know what I mean? Based on what we've seen and what's proven, and obviously the finances attached to it. I think that's the only thing that makes sense. But you can't, what do we do? Let a player of Lavia's quality just go? Why sign him? It's just a stupid signing. And we said this at the time. We'll say it again. Even though he's a quality player, there's no space for it. I don't know what we do. We prove Lavia as a baller. And then what? We have a super sub in the DM role. Like, it's just.
I don't know, man. Obviously, it's Enzo's formation that can only facilitate two midfielders. Realistically, it probably could facilitate all three. You could play Enzo a little bit higher, or reconfigure that number 10 role, whatever you want to call it, when you have a recognised number 9 up there. But I don't see Lavia as I know it's a problem, but I see it as a good problem. I don't see it as an issue for where is he going to fit in. We potentially might have 60 games this year, even more, with the FIFA Club World Cup, with the Europa Conference League, with qualifying. We've already got 2 games, 3 games before August 30th. Like, we're stacking the games. We've got 2 qualifying games.
Someone's not going to get enough football.
You know what I'm saying? Like, exactly. We have the depth, and nobody that is fit is not going to get the minutes and opportunities this year. I feel like there will be so many chances for the Chelsea youngsters, for Tyreek George and Achimpong, who I just want to come out and say I've been disappointed at the lack of minutes for Tyreek George. Achimpong I can understand because we've got enough trouble going on in that back line as is. But Tyreek George I wanted to see a little bit more of, because you start him in that Wrexham and Celtic game, and then he's in the Club America, and then you give him minutes against Real Madrid. That is an absolutely unbelievable thing for a 16, 17-year-old. It's a life-changing experience. When is he going to get the next chance to play Real Madrid? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like Chelsea at this, and that kind of just sums us up at the moment. We are not really thinking about the players that we have at the moment. We're still too focused on this long-term plan with Esteval, Willian, Kendry Pires, coming in 2025, signing all these 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, joining in 2-3 years. I feel like these Chelsea owners, and I don't want to say they've written off this season, because that sickens me, the thought of the Chelsea board just sitting there going, you know what? If we just kind of tread water again for 1 year, we could go big into it. Like, that hurts me, and I would dread to think that is what's going on. But at the same time, I just feel like a lot of these decisions are being made for the greater good and with the bigger picture in prospect. And that's what we're being told. Look at the bigger picture, trust the process, trust the project. It's been 3 years, bro. We ain't trusting. I ain't seen anything in preseason. And I said this as well. And it's a point that, I mean, it's not groundbreaking news. It's nothing to you, but obviously every time a Chelsea manager has come into a precarious situation, they've come in at the end of the season and they've only had, realistically, 3 full weeks, maybe 4 weeks, to get to grips with the squad. Cole Palmer, so the Chelsea players arrived back in England today. Cole Palmer has 4 days. Sorry, they won't have trained today. So 3 days with Enzo Maresca before the Inter game, which he won't feature in. But he has a week. He has 10 days with Enzo Maresca. Can you learn? Can you understand a coach's tactics, philosophy, shape, formation, everything a coach wants to instill in a team? Can you understand that in 10 days? And for the last 4 or 5 seasons, a Chelsea manager has come into the team at the end, or a new manager has come into this Chelsea team at the end of the season and had 4 weeks to rectify the team. They haven't even got to grips. By the time they've understand the team, it's Christmas. And we're already the season's done and gone. And I know I'm a pessimist. I know I'm a skeptic, but I am starting to see elements of this, the miscommunications, not that, Enzo Maresca's already coming out and saying, oh, bad habits from last year that I can't get rid of them. What do you mean you can't get rid of them? It's simple instructions. Drop 20 yards. Don't play that hot. And I'm just kind of starting to think, and akin to what you said, is this going to be another season where we are just treading water?
And it's crazy because, as you said, you're the pessimist. And on the other flip side of that same coin, I'm usually the optimist. I'm usually the one who's got a little bit of a brighter light, kind of forcing the narrative and making sure that I've got my blue tinted glasses on and seeing what I want to see. But I can't. I just can't. There's nothing to see. It's, all the problems aligned, with the 10 days working with the squad with Cole Palmer. I mean, there's no way that sheer brilliance isn't going to cross us over a win against City. There's no developmental sort of tactics and body and sort of identity, and that's one thing that we've struggled with is growing up. We've had the identity. Chelsea Football Club has had the identity of a defensive club, part of the bus, difficult to score against, and they will put one past you. And if you want to beat a club like Chelsea, you've got to score 2 or 3 goals. You've got to do it early, and you've got to make sure that you're playing aggressive football for 90 minutes. And where's the identity now? Like, what are we doing? Are we like this young South American Brazilian squad full of flair, or are we a bit more of like a rigid sort of 2-6s playing out from the back, playing long balls? I don't know. I literally don't know, because with all the different managers, all the different changes in tactics, it seems like Maresca wants to do a little bit more build up and be a little bit more on the ball and a little less fast maybe. But like, I'm just stumped to see where we are right now, and that lack of identity I think is going to be a massive problem, because obviously that affects the lineup and the team selection. But all these signings that are being made, it's like day by day I'm questioning what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like I can't keep saying it, but what's the name of this geese that we signed this morning? This striker, waking up to that news that we spent waking up to this news that we spent another fucking 35 million on a player that's not bagged a decade of goals in last year. It literally does not make sense to me. And I started this by saying that I'm trying to be the optimist, but I really struggle to see how we do any better than top half. You know what I mean? If we come 8th, 9th, like, I wouldn't be shocked. In fact, I'm getting to the point where I kind of take it. I've taken 8th place in the league when you look at all the other clubs around us. I mean, I'm looking at Newcastle and I'm like, fucking hell. I'm looking at West Ham. West Ham
making good signings. I know I say this a lot of times, and I've got West Ham family roots, but West Ham, Crescencio Somerville, we should have signed Fulkrug. Let's just get that out of it. Instead of sending Amora Dion, and someone else said, what are your thoughts on Amora Dion? Stupid fucking signing. I hope he does well. He looks like he has potential. Stupid fucking signing. Should have just gone out and spent the money on Alvarez or Osimhen. Why are you half-arsing it again with, like you said, a B-Tech Nick Jackson, literally replicated his career path, 1 season in La Liga, and it's just about, I think he scored 9 league goals. All the money that we're
replacing Nicholas Jackson.
The thing that makes me most frustrated about all of this is Enzo Maresca came out and addressed the Conor Gallagher situation by saying we have to sell these players because of PSR. Have to sell these players, bro. You've just made 38 mil and then you've gone and spent 35.1 of it on a player from the same club. You have to make this money. It's like, don't take us for dickheads. It's like, we understand. We're not stupid. We're not thick. The vast majority of us. Well, I say the great time for me to stumble over my words. I say the vast majority
clip
of us.
that, yo, if someone can clip that, clip that.
Someone clip that. I can't speak for everyone, but we're not thick. We know what's going on. We understand the ramifications of buying and selling players, how different that works on the books in terms of finances, how you split it up. Just don't treat us like dickheads, man. Don't come out in a press conference. Go, it's the PSR, it's the Premier League's fault. And then next morning, you're announcing another shit transfer, bruv. It's so much money wasted. And I've just got to remind everyone as well, everyone on the TikTok, everyone on the YouTube, bro, we signed Omari Kellyman for 20 mil. I know he's injured, but we ain't seen him and we ain't ever going to see him. So much of this money is down the drain. And on that note, we'll move on to a player you touched on earlier, David Fofana. So unfair for a player of a great potential to just be flipped out after, what you said, 2 games for Chelsea. I know he didn't set the world on fire at Burnley, but he scored a couple screamers. He did a couple of good things. He looks like a good player. So when we're screaming out for a striker, and then we're going out and saying, oh, you know what? This striker that we signed a year ago, that's now 20 years old, don't really fancy him. Let's go out and sign this 16-year-old, this 17-year-old, get them in, and then fuck these two. Honestly, bro, what's your situation? Because it looks like David Fofana and Broja are both goners.
I'm going to put it like this, man. When we signed Cole Palmer, that was exciting because we knew that this is a player who value-wise should probably be a bit more. We said it at the time. We said 40 million on a player like that. Yes, I'll take it. If he's good enough for him, he's good enough for us. And he's been our best player by a country mile. He's doubled his valuation in 12 months, which you do not see from football players nowadays. We are not stupid. We know when a player has come in and they're going to make a direct impact and they're going to be exciting. And although maybe Fofana doesn't have that same impact, I know he's better than the respect we're giving him is suggested. And I know that there is potential for a player that can score, 15 goals in the Premier League, 20 goals in the Premier League. There is that potential in that player. But you can't see that across 2 games. You can't see that across... I can't even call it a handful. Because it would slip out of my hand. It doesn't make any sense. We need to give these kids the ability to show why we bought them in the first place. And if we're not going to do it, even during cup games and friendlies, then why are we making these signings in the first place? That 20 million is akin to a fifth of a world-class football player. How many times have we seen 5 signings come in and leave that we've never seen? You can take that same 100 million and fucking buy Victor Osimhen and stop being a bitch about it. Go ahead and put in a bid for Victor Gyökeres. Go in and buy Kvaratskhelia. Go in and try. Because in the end of the day, I've seen 7 or 8 of these players come in around that 20 to 35 million mark in the last 5 years. And I've seen 2 or 3 players come in for the 100 million. And guess what? The 100 million players are playing on the fucking first team. Fair enough. Maybe we do 70 million on Kepa. Fair enough. Understandable, annoying. He played 2 seasons of first team football regularly. We spent 100 million on Caicedo. Fair enough. Maybe it was an overvaluation. Played pretty much every game of football he was fit for last season. Fair enough. We do the same thing with Enzo. Same thing. Why are we spending 35 million on an unproven striker when we spent 35 million on an unproven Nicholas Jackson last year? He scored 15 goals. Fair enough. He looks all right in and about. Just need the confidence and we'll get there. Probably can squeeze 20-odd goals out of him. But that's that stretch, you know what I mean? Take that money, take the player. Geezer we bought this morning, take the profit in from Conor Gallagher and spend 100 million on Victor Gyökeres, or at least just see what they would say in a bid. It's just so annoying to wake up every morning to a 17-year-old being bought for 25 million from Palmeiras, who we're not going to play for 2 years, and then seeing this guy we're not going to play for 2 years, then Kendry not going to play for a year and a half, and it's like we're future-proofing so much. We might not even get there, Dan. I'm worried we won't actually get there in 2026.
Oh, it's going to go into liquidation, bro. Clear like you're going to disappear off the face of the earth, bro. It's probably an Egg Valley just disappear.
Am I insane in thinking that there is a potential that this just has a massive backfire effect and we're in the Championship? Because I feel it.
It would have to be some. It would have to be some season to see us going to Championship.
City would have to be doing some witchcraftery because you know what? All it takes is us to come 12th and get slapped with a point deduction, bro, and then all of a sudden we're we're never seeing our club ever again in a state we'd want to after seeing us win the Champions League twice. It's so frustrating because it is a reality. Like, say it's over the top or whatnot, but it is a reality. We have to understand all of these transfers and these crazy buying in and selling players before they've even been played. We're going to lose our sense of self. And all it takes is one knock on the door from FFP. Cole Palmer's gone for 100 million, and then we split it up over 5 transfers in all these different.
We ain't selling Cole Palmer, bro. We ain't selling Cole Palmer.
Real Madrid come knocking for 120 million after FFP.
100 mil for Cole Palmer. 100 million, you dumb. After Daniel Levy came out and said Christian Romero was 150. If Christian Romero is 150 mil, Cole Palmer's 1.5 bill, bro. It's 1.5 bill, bro. Come on, not even the mills no more.
I'm just scared, man.
But yeah, I just did a little check. Samu Omoradion to Chelsea is here we go from Fabrizio Romano. Deal in place, 35 mil, fixed fee, 7-year contract. Bayer Leverkusen and more clubs tried to enter the race, but he joins Chelsea. He wanted us. Great to see that another player wants us. And yeah, I wish him all the. I hope he's going to do well. The more players we sign, the less hope I have that they will succeed. To be announcing this and to be signing this sort of player on the same day that news is breaking that we're selling Fofana, it's just it's pretty heartbreaking.
We're going to get 50 million.
It's so cyclical, and it's like it's just you can see it happening. We can already see what's going to happen 2 years into the future. I don't think he will cook for Chelsea. I hope I'm wrong, but truth of the matter is he's not, regardless of whether he joins and when he joins, whatever, he's not going to start in a week and a half. He's not going to be ready. Jackson's not going to be ready. If Osimhen signs, he's not going to be ready. We've failed yet again to get the squad ready for the first day of the season. The defense, the number 9's not sorted. The defense is far from sorted, and our keeper, if it is Jorgensen, has had 90 minutes under his belt. One 90 minutes. Maybe 2 after this weekend, but it's far from ideal. And yeah, I hope, obviously we've been mad pessimistic. We've been mad depressing this chat.
This is a new thing for me, brother. I'm not used to this level of pessimism. Usually I'm saying stuff that doesn't even make sense, bro. I was talking about Cole Palmer winning a Ballon d'Or in 2027 about 2 months ago, brother, and that's probably the only.
You were back in that chat like 2 weeks ago, bro.
And I was back in that 2 seconds ago because I still genuinely, I was going to say it's the only hot take I've got left that's positive about Chelsea. The others were going to be in administration in the next 5 years. So I don't know which side of the coin I'm on anymore, man. Please.
I don't even think we can consider that as a hot take either. I mean, realistically, it is very, very plausible. I can see Bowley and Clearlake just getting fed up of it and just going, you know what? Give me 20 years, man.
Yeah,
get me out this fucking boardroom, man. Get me out.
How did Uncle Roman do it for 2 decades, man? How did Uncle Roman do it? I'll never understand it.
Bring him back. Just give him one of those, what are those wigs called? Those things with the glasses and the nose, the disguise things. Just give him one of them. Slap him in a boardroom. Get Marina back in. That old slut upstairs. Get her back in. Get Petr Cech back in. Kudachini back in. Ever since we lost the backroom staff that were all ex-Chelsea players, team's gone. Backbone's gone. Identity is gone. And we're going to need a big fix-up, a big pattern up in the next 7 days, 11 days, whatever it is. Fucking hell. It's
just mental, the situation. Like, knowing it from... Just seeing the fall is like... It's like a historic event. Seeing these mighty power. Like, because I remember winning the Champions League and thinking, we're not even ready yet. Like, I remember we won the Champions League. Both times we won the Champions League. It felt like... We were just slipping the gloves on. We were butt naked, standing there, getting ready to put the outfit on. You know what I mean? It's like we weren't even. It was like, you know what I mean? It's like Spider-Man sitting there. He's only got the mask on. It's like, zip it up, brother. Zip it up. We're not even close to there, and we're winning things like this. And now it's like he's in slow mo, fucking English or Spanish, bro. Like I don't know, man. And I'm frustrated with the whole situation. I'm just that sick of standing there with my rubber mask on and no outfit. You know what I mean? Something straight out of Deadpool. Banging film, by the way. Recommend it.
Someone needs to get tired. Someone needs to get tired, man. Someone needs to call your mate. Someone needs to go. What is going on in the fucking Armitage household, bro? What is going on, bro? Man said standing in the mirror in mask, no outfit. Dread to think, bro. What was man doing for 6 hours after watching Deadpool Wolverine? Standing in the mask, in a mask with a katana and nothing else. Someone find Ty, man. I need a witness. I need a witness to make sure this isn't happening.
She's fine, man. Making sure she's alive and good, yeah.
This stream has descended into almost as much chaos as Chelsea's pre-season. But I do want to say, as negative as we've been, I stand by my point. I think last night, was probably our most promising, our best performance in pre-season. The most positive to take from a performance. We pretty much went toe-to-toe with Real Madrid. They might have been heavily depleted and, not really playing at their best. Real Madrid, they were just taking a piss at times. Actually, they were taking a piss for 85 minutes. But there were positives to take. There is still, I don't want to get too down on Chelsea because at the end of the day, pre-season is pre-season. It is not competitive football. There is an element of Chelsea, particularly last season, where we went into the big games, we turned up. That attitude, that mentality was there. Obviously, City, first game of the season, don't get bigger than that. So we're hoping we're hoping that remains and Chelsea can bring that dog out this season as well. It remains to be seen, man. But no doubt we will bring you plenty more content before that. Obviously, like I said, 11 days. So there'll be another transfer episode this week. There'll be a couple of episodes this weekend as well. We're going to be at the Bridge on Sunday. So maybe something on Saturday, maybe something on Sunday morning, maybe a little review as well or a live match reaction. I'll see what I can get out. But yeah, just whatever you do, like, comment, subscribe to the channel at Two Blues Podcast on the Instagram and the TikTok. Whatever you need, man. Live match watch-alongs, live match reactions, transfer talk, general, just fucking cracking streams like tonight. You know what it is, man.
We got that.
You know what it is. You know who we are. You know what we do. Come on, man. Come on. Right. I'm cutting it. Done. Love.